going to start with a little rhyme. These styles that you will hear will do for you what they did for me. I mean, hopefully. Give you a sense of self, no longer so lonely. Knowing I'm not the only kid with pen and pad. I'm scribbling lines that rhyme about how I miss my dad. Them thoughts you had, now we're in your hand. Looking back at the brain they came, rained upon your lap. My styles are bright, and bright at night I couldn't sleep or nap. I'd read lines combined in mind in the library in the black section, checking facts, answering questions my Eurocentric teachers didn't ask. I'd cut class to hop the Metro, I'd hop the CTA, I'd hop to the record shop named Gramophone and check out the latest tapes. I landed at b-boy parties, sometimes in section 8s. These styles great. If you can spit, you're not a fake. I walked thin red lines in my notebook, practicing my nightly fate. Righty became my date. To pick her up, I'm never late. In mental spaces, I bomb kids, and now I speak Hebonics. I mean, what you thought you heard. I'm a Jewish kid who kicks raps, and yeah, I'm from the suburbs. I kibitz when I kick it, eating kosher, sort of rib tips. My flow was 1,000 fists in the back of classes, and even if your blind teacher forgot your glasses, you couldn't miss it. From the universal to the specific, my flow manifests spirit, so keep your ears open and peep these styles when you hear it. Thanks. Thanks. I came back to Chicago after playing basketball overseas for a year, and it was '96, and I started performing poetry in hip-hop spoken word, the hip-hop spoken word scene in Chicago. Was getting acclimated to those communities, and a friend of mine named Ibu Patel was teaching at El Cuarto Año, an alternative high school on the near west side, and he invited me into his classroom to do a class in his English, American Studies, you know how alternative high schools do. It's like, whatever you want to teach, go ahead. And so he's like, yeah, just come in and do something, do a workshop. And for an hour and a half, the students in the classroom and I talked about nothing other than the Fugees' second record, The Score, which is a hot record, but not necessarily what I thought education should be about. Afterwards, I apologized to Ibu. I said, hey man, that was my bad. And he's like, you should teach. I'm like, that's funny. And he's like, you should do a residency here. I'm like, that sounds fancy. He's like, we'll pay you. I'm like, I'll be there. And so I've been in the classroom since that time, doing creative writing workshops, and it's something that I've learned a lot about writing from, a lot about literature, a lot about how to be in front of a group of students who don't want to do anything, much less listen to you. And so I'm going to share with you a poem I wrote in a workshop which was asking the students to write down something that they knew extremely well. And I wrote a poem that I want to share with you called How to Teach Poetry in Chicago Public Schools. Look clean, fresh, kicks, cut, jeans, iron them bits, 'cause even in uniform, the baddest students swagger on 100, and those the kids you hope to build with, the ones who got a crate of albums on heart. Wheezy, Gucci, Waka Flocka, some may even have their own bars for days. They spit alone in their room to their little brother, their girl. They might be reluctant to share, especially with the teacher, especially with the white boy. Spit heat. Start with the rhyme, something quick, a half note behind West Side double time, their ears picked, able to roll with all those syllables. Now read a poem, something slow, familiar, familial, an offering to Gwendolyn Brooks and Carl Sandburg sitting on your shoulder, something about mom, the train, Pops being gone. We all have that in common. Ask where their favorite rapper is from. J from Marcy, Ye, the South Side. Everybody know Wayne, Katrina's Soldier Boy. From 97 to 03, have a firm, well-reasoned opinion on who is better, Pac or Big. After that, Young Money new language, Kanye couplets on memory, photocopy Willie Perdomo's Where I'm From the wrong way, make it read right to left, do this to mess with them, to throw a monkey wrench into normal, do this to mess with them. None of us are from Spanish Harlem, but Inglewood know about police. Every block in the hundreds have old men who talk ish, guns that fire cracker, grandmothers who stir, big pots. The whole west side is littered with nieces telling you to look past blue box streetlights, because regardless of where you are from there, know there, and have never been asked to expert, so speak on it. Talk about it, sit your ass down, and write. So I started meeting poets, MCs, writing educators, classroom teachers who wanted to use creative writing in the classroom. And I met, maybe a crew of 10, 15 poets, new school poets, hip-hop poets, what have you, who were doing this work in Chicago public schools, alternative high schools, community centers around the city. And we formed an organization called the Writing Teachers Collective. And amongst us, amongst a room of maybe 10, 15 of these people, we realized that we knew collectively hundreds of young writers from throughout the city. And we wanted an opportunity to bring those writers together. So in 2001, you remember a couple things were happening. Of course, the towers had fallen, and brown people around the planet were being criminalized. In the city of Chicago, they were also trying to pass an anti-gang loitering law that was locking up kids of color for hanging out in groups of more than one. And we were having a lot of those group kids in our schools, and also we were doing a program at the Cook County Juvenile Detention Center, and so we saw a lot of kids at the alternative high school there, Nancy B. Jefferson. And in that moment, in that culture of fear, we wanted to create a culture of hope. And so we formed this festival called Louder Than a Bomb, the Chicago Youth Poetry Festival. We started with a couple teams in the basement of the Chopin Theater in 2001. We just celebrated our 11th year, where we brought together over 72 teams from all over the state. And Gary, big up Gary. All right, nobody from Gary. All right, yeah, word, okay. People like, yeah, I know you are. That's why I said that. I know. That's why I said, I thought you'd big me up a little more. But all right. Thank you. And then, so we just celebrated our 11th year, 72 teams from all over the area. Over the course of now a month-long festival, we had about 10,000 people come to see young people talk about who they are and where they come from. We changed, I think, the model of how poetry should be taught. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit in the end. But one of the great things this year is that we also had a documentary film come out, and it's been touring the film festival circuit, and I want to share with you a clip now because it's going to show and kind of get to some of the things that I want to see. So this is a 10-minute clip from the documentary Louder Than a Bomb. I hope you enjoy it. I'm going to be back afterwards to holler at you again. Thank you.
We de-emphasize the competition, but you want to win. You want to be at the big theater with 1,000 people in the audience screaming for your poem. But I think what people leave with is not who won or who got scored what or who took home 3 10s or whatever it is. It's like, you come as an educator, you come as a parent to Louder Than a Bomb, and you are, I think, become astounded at the power and articulation of young people. When you see this kind of intelligence from kids who are on their way to Harvard and our kids who are about to flunk out of school sometimes, you see that maybe the way we judge kids and their intelligence, maybe we have that wrong. And maybe it's in part we have it wrong because we don't ask them enough about what they think. We don't incorporate the reality of their lives enough into their educational space. We don't take that into the classroom. That's the source of where we could start the education process from, and that's where we start our writing prompts from. It's like, tell me where you're from. That's prompt number 1, that's it. And we begin to paint the neighborhood with language.
I am the caregiver, the gatekeeper. I take care of everybody and I solve all the problems.
Hi, Cody!
Because my youngest brother has special needs, he always needed constant care and attention. And when my parents first got divorced, I took care of him. I changed his diapers and I fed him. I cleaned up after him. I put him to sleep at night. I bathed him. Like, I practically raised him because my mother was working 3 jobs to try to get us away from our dad's house. It just came natural to me that, okay, well, if he's not being taken care of, I'm gonna take care of him.
Cody, you wanna go upstairs?
Sure. Come on, come with me.
Going with you.
Cody loves me.
Will he remember how he slept in my bed every night after Mama left and I held him like an extra pillow, or when my arms were his restraints, when Daddy said to put him in the middle without a seatbelt? So he would be the first to die in car accidents. Can he know how he found a mother in Big Sister?
She silences crowds because her presence is that demanding. She captures your attention and she holds it and she takes you on a journey that is brutal and beautiful.
My mother and my father were drug addicts. But like, you don't know what that is when you're a kid, you know?
The thought of not being with my kids was not a bearable situation for me. But I also had a very supportive and praying mother. So when I couldn't, my mother did. He loved his grandmother tremendously.
Staying in the house saved him. That's why his grandma gave him books. She didn't want him in gangs. She didn't want him on the street.
I did always feel like distinct from my peers. When I was around here, it was because I was like the smart kid, or, you know, when I was at summer camp, I was like the only black kid. Like, I always felt different.
He's become a young man through this, and I think he does so much work and so much thinking and so much reading and so much observing of the world. He's moved on, and he should move on. You know, there are serious things for Nate ahead of him.
I thank this forum for help making me so strong, for letting me talk about sex, drugs, basketball, and moms. Fond farewell to this chapter and to all the joy and laughter. This for every kid whose voice has been louder than a bomb.
One time I actually grabbed him in his collar and I said, you know what, you may be a gifted son, but you must know you came from a gifted mother and you can never pull one over on my head.
Adam Gottlieb is one of the best writers we've had at Louder Than a Bomb. And also one of the most sincere, genuine, gentle people I've ever come across.
Adam always liked to rhyme, just played with language a lot. And I remember in 3rd grade he did the social studies project. About the Egyptians.
About this on camera. No.
Okay, sorry. And tut tut, we are the Egyptians.
I can't believe we got to such a bad place so fast. Every move I make, whether it's a mistake or a triumph, they're only thinking about me being happy and doing what I want to do.
I'm always kind of a little fearful sometimes for him, when he's in certain spaces, 'cause I'm like, oh man, you know, someone's gonna take Adam's lunch money. Today's gonna be the day he doesn't get to eat lunch.
She stands with her toes hanging off the edge of the stage, her whole presence squared like praying, like she can't blink even with the force of a storm behind her eyelids, shoulders shifting around each other like lovers, fierce like she's shouting before she even opens her mouth.
Kids who come from all places of the city love him. They love him, he's a superstar.
No matter how much you deny it, you really do want to make your parents happy. And when there's this correlation between what you want to do and what makes your parents happy, it's like, feels like the sky's the limit. And that's how I feel.
It's unbelievable to me. I don't get it. I don't know where, you know, I don't know how he was made. I don't know what, I thought that they didn't make people like that actually. But that's how he is.
Yeah.
Steinmetz last year was a first-year team to Louder Than a Bomb. And they came deep. I mean, they rolled with like 50 people.
1, 2, 3, Steinmetz!
I think people were freaked out. It's really their energy and their love for being on stage, being with one another, their love of one another, their love of the form. And they brought that team mentality to it. It wasn't just about I doing well. It was about the whole crew. Yeah! That was amazing.
We won last year, and I don't think we were half as good as we are now. I really don't see how we can lose.
They think, well, we won last year, we'll win again. But we got to put in the work.
He loves you. Love me back, I beseech you. I'm gonna pour water on the water.
I'm always having all these thoughts racing, thoughts bouncing back and forth. But I just need to, grab it and just order it on the page.
You know you ain't wrote nothing. That's where all this come from. Ain't nobody stepped up with me, and that's where all this animosity come from.
If we don't win, it's gonna hurt more than anything.
Since the beginning, it's always been a family thing, and if one member of the family is, not doing what they're supposed to do, you have to get back on track.
I'm gonna be real earnest right now. People are really starting to piss me off.
They're about to leave you. How do you appreciate shit that's not there anymore? Because they don't see it.
It's not working for me.
But it's working for us. We the ones competing.
I'm a part of us. And it's not working. It's not working for me. Everybody go home.
10, 9, 8.
7-year-old boy put 6 feet deep in a 5-foot coffin, wondering what for. While 3 grown men have to drive by, and he does a couple of bullets, but 1.
In Poetry Slam, winning does not mean you're the best writers. The points are ridiculous. You can't put a number on a poem. Winning means nothing.
Don't let Adam fool you. Adam wants to win. Like, Adam's not on some, it's all about to get. No, fuck that. He wants to crush you like a bug. Like a bug.
We have to win. I'm a senior. This is my last year. We have to win. I refuse to go out without a bang.
This is going to be a special year for us.
It's very easy to look at young people and see all of the things that are wrong. But to actually spend time with them and get to know them and push them and try and mold them, those are things that are needed.
This is not the end. This is not the end. School is not the end. After this competition, it's not the end. I'm here to be a creator, so that's what I'm gonna do.
I've seen the
Yeah, there's a bunch of beautiful stuff that happens. You could go see it, actually. I got like a minute, so thanks. Thank you. It's actually playing at the Siskel Center right now for the next couple of days. And I just want to say that the work starts with a pedagogical shift in the classroom. Hip-hop was Frarian before we read Frary, and by that I mean we've always been utilizing the world around us, doing what Gwendolyn Brooks said, which is record the world that you inhabit and tell those stories. And one of the things we try to do in the classroom is to link Gwendolyn Brooks to Lil Wayne, because that bridge is actually very small. They both have a love for the molecular structure of language, but you have to first know who Lil Wayne is, of course, in order to make that leap. So utilizing what the students are like, or what they like, and bringing that into the classroom is an essential foundation of our classroom work. From the classroom, we begin to transform the school, having a spoken word club after school, having that spoken word club facilitate perhaps an open mic in the community. We do an all-city open mic, and that brings together kids from every neighborhood in Chicago. The festival brings together kids from every neighborhood in Chicago. And we want to do this work on a statewide level. We want it to look something like the Illinois State basketball tournament meets forensics, meets an MC battle, meets, a revolution in education, for real. Because they are learning in a new way, because they're engaged in its student-centered education. I would love your help in doing this, Illinois. We want to make this a statewide tournament. I want to make it a citywide tournament first, and make sure that every public school in the city has a team, has a program. We're already expanding because of the film into other cities. I just got back from Tulsa, Oklahoma, where we did the first ever Louder Than a Bomb Tulsa. Who knew? But this is a a model that is easily transferable, that doesn't really have much to do with the poetry, has much more to do with utilizing it as a community organizing tool like Saul Alinsky, and bringing us together over barriers to talk about who we are, what we care about, and how we can transform the world together. Thanks so much.